In today's video, we're returning back to Tennessee to continue on that timeline in the tragic case of baby Evelyn Boswell and the case against her mother, Megan Boswell. Hello, Sofa Squad, and welcome back to the sofa. Sofa's back there. I'm right here. Dogs are playing. My name's Paul if you're new to the channel, and if you're not new to the channel, my name still is Paul. We are going to be going back to Tennessee, like I said, to continue on our journey through the Megan Boswell timeline. If you are new to this case, I will very quickly talk about it, but in general, this is just going to be a continuation of part one, so you will want to visit that if you're completely new to this and don't know the case, right? So what is going on, and depending on when you're watching this, I'm recording this at the end of January 2025. Megan is finally approaching trial at the beginning of February 2025. So I wanted to redo a timeline. I talked about this case when it first happened. And when I say first happened, we're going back several years to 2020, that time zone when this took place. Evelyn Boswell is the victim. Evelyn Boswell was the daughter of Megan Boswell. Now, as we see so many times in these cases, baby Evelyn was reported missing, but this was months after she had last been seen. We start to see some really sketchy interviews from her mother, Megan. And then lo and behold, fast forward, her remains are found, right? That's the gist of it, okay? So like I said, we're going more deep here. I've also done videos of like Megan's interviews that went pretty viral at the time for the bad part of it, okay? So before we also jump in, please keep in mind that I ain't no doctor, I ain't no lawyer, ain't no therapist, and none of that fancy credentialed stuff, okay? I'm just a guy with a sofa and some sass, right? All of these are just my opinions on very public information, so I urge you to do your own research, come to your own opinions. Well, you know, could just be nice down the comment section. So let's go ahead and get started. Now, like I said, in today's video, we're returning back to Tennessee. Now, where we left off was with those, how would we say it, those rather enlightening TV interviews that old Megan was giving. Once again, her loose relationship with facts and skills of deflection were on full display. And she made the classic rookie mistake, well, several of them, but one of the most classic ones, which was blaming an innocent person in the situation. Now, we're going to go ahead and call this innocent adjacent, because if you do recall, this person is Megan Boswell's mother, Angela Boswell. Now, yes, she's had her own situations and own stuff going on. We're not trying to say that she didn't, but when it comes to this specific case, when it comes to specifically what took place with Evelyn, so far, it does not show that she had anything to do with this, especially in the way that Megan was throwing her mother under the bus in the beginning of these interviews. So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in and discuss how the rest of this investigation unfolded. So February 25th. Now, within hours of that second interview, Megan would reach out to a TV station via Facebook Messenger, and she would be like, yeah, you know what? Actually, I can't take the polygraph because guess what? I'm pregnant. Now, it seems like this came out of absolutely nowhere. So reporters are like contacting the sheriff's department and they're like, we don't have a polygraph. And the FBI is like, we weren't going to do all this. So there's this whole scramble. It's like, why is she saying this and why is she contacting us? What's going on with this polygraph? Now, regardless of what, if anything, prompted her to actually write this message, we do know one thing, if we've learned anything from true crime, she should have said nothing. Now, as all of these inconsistencies and just the overall sketchiness of things started to pile up against Megan and make her look innocent, people of course still held out hope that baby Evelyn would return home. And many would use pink and purple bulbs to light her way home. Now go ahead and buckle your sofa seatbelts up because it's getting ready to get turned up, okay? So now Megan might have thought that she had did something, I don't know, dodged something, whatever, with this whole lie detector test. But little did she know that the local sheriff's office there, who she didn't think was going to do a good job at finding her daughter, they were doing a good job, all right. But that good job that they were doing was trying to point all the fingers towards Megan. Now within hours of this whole pregnancy thing, the sheriff's office calls her back in for questioning, okay? And then after 5 hours of questioning, guess what? She is arrested. And guess what for? False reporting. Again, it's like a page out of Casey Anthony's book. Now, after her arrest, the authorities would hold another press conference. Let's revisit this again and see what they had to say.
At this point, most of you are aware that we've received a number of conflicting, inaccurate statements from the mother, Megan Boswell, Evelyn's mother. During the investigation, we determined that some of the statements Megan Boswell provided to us were false. Many of the false statements that Megan made delayed our investigations and also impeded our investigations on trying to find Evelyn. As a result, she has been charged with false reporting. Because the investigation remains active and ongoing, we can only release specific answers to this investigation. Of course, everybody knows that a lot of the stuff that we've received, with it being conflicting and inaccurate, and a lot of the information you all are receiving are from the mother, Megan. A lot of the stuff that you're seeing out on social media and a lot of the stuff that has been relayed to you hadn't come from our office. So we want to release the most accurate information to you all, and we want to be promptly in doing so. So a lot of the stuff that you all are getting is from the mother, and you take with it what you want, but she has been inaccurate, conflicting statements all through this investigation.
Now, you can only imagine that when the public heard this, reporters, everybody, not good, right? I mean, he's essentially telling people, don't believe what she's saying because we have caught her in a web of lies. Let's keep going.
However, please know that we remain committed and continue to do everything possible to find out what happened to Evelyn. And as always, as soon as relevant information and accurate information, I want to really reiterate that. As it comes to us, we will get that out as soon as possible, okay?
It has to be so disappointing because you can hear him say, I want to, reiterate accurate information. Like, it's so obvious to them that she's lying through her teeth, right? And as an investigator, especially when it's dealing with a little baby like this, I mean, can you imagine the fear and the thud in your stomach of the realization of, like, this probably isn't going to end well.
Vault said that her story has changed. The mother's story has changed multiple times since you guys initially started talking to her. Since she's been arrested, has her story changed yet again, or kind of what has been like?
Every time we talk to her, her story changes. I'm serious when I say that. Every single time.
Sheriff, you said the last verified sighting was 4th of December. A month ago, we previously heard it was 2026, December 11th, 10th or 11th.
10th or 11th is what I've been going on simply because it was verified by somebody that's not lied to us.
Is that the babysitter?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
So you've talked to him or her?
We've interviewed everybody.
Okay.
Wow. So you heard him. She's lied constantly. You can see the frustration. Like, they don't believe a word that she says, okay? And again, I'll just reiterate, this has to be like a thud in their stomach, right? Now, it would take no time for this to, ignite a potential lead. And investigators turned their focus to a tip that they received that would launch a search in a pond near Wilkesboro County. Now, this probably sounds familiar because remember, back to the drama with Megan's mother, Angela, and Angela's boyfriend. This is the county that they were stopped in, caught in, whatever you want to call it, with that car when Megan was trying to, throw them under the bus. It's also where my grandparents are from and my dad and all them. Just let me say all that now. Now, the public would learn that hours before Angela and her boyfriend William were arrested in Wilkesboro for the stolen car thing, they would have gone to William's grandmother's to try and get money for gas. However, she was like, there's something suspicious here. He's wet, his feet are wet, like what's going on? And I'm going to quote her here. She says, quote, he told me they were wet because a pipe burst at the motel where he was staying, but he has been devious enough to have been involved in something. Now, in under 4 hours, the North Carolina officials were able to say, you know what, this has not been a conclusive search. This is a nothing burger, as they like to say. Now, also with this briefing, people started speaking out more and more, including one of Megan's high school friends. Now, I'm going to quote them as well. So Christian Arnett, this was Megan's high school friend, had this to say, quote, when we talked in March 2019, she wanted to go back to work and was looking for a babysitter. Megan appeared to be a good mother, and she talked a lot about Evelyn. Christian also said, the situation doesn't add up. I believed her, but as the interviews went on, I think she knows. I think she knows where Evelyn is, and I think she knows who has her. Now, remember that whole pregnancy thing we talked about earlier? Well, I'm going to also sit here and quote what the captain had to say about this, so buckle up. So Captain Andy Seabolt, this is what the Sullivan County Sheriff's Office, had this to say. I cannot confirm or deny her pregnancy. What I can tell you is that the jail medical staff keeps track of pregnant inmates for obvious purposes. On Monday, 2/24, there were 4 pregnant inmates. On Tuesday, 2/25, there were 4 pregnant inmates. Evelyn Boswell was booked in at 9:19 p.m. on Tuesday. The pregnant inmate count went to 5 on Tuesday, 2/25 at 11 p.m. when a pregnant woman was booked in. On Wednesday, 2/26, the pregnant inmate count was 5 total. Okay, just go on and do the math on that one, right? Now let's jump to February 26. Now this is when detectives would follow up with a lead that was in a Sullivan County mobile home. And, people who were watching all that, they were like, you know what, we saw officials digging up near the ground. This is going on, that's going on. And things were kind of hush-hush about what was taking place. Now remember this at this point. You have Megan, Angela, her mother, and William, Angela's boyfriend, all in county lockup, all very busy with different court appearances. So they are like, you already know that like the news is following this and whatnot. So March 6th, sadly, we would get a very sad message from the TBI officials, and they would hold a press conference. Let's take a moment and listen to that in the news that was released.
And thank you for being here. I'm Leslie Earhart, a public information officer for the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation. First off, I would like to thank each of you for your assistance in sharing information about this case from the very beginning. This is certainly not the update we had hoped to provide this evening. Before we get started, you should know that this is a very active investigation. We understand that you have a lot of questions, but please understand, in order to preserve the integrity of the investigation, there's not a lot that we can release at this time. Sheriff Jeff Cassidy is going to give a brief statement, followed by District Attorney General Barry Stavas. Sheriff.
I'm Jeff Cassidy, Sheriff of Sullivan County. I first want to thank the community for their outpouring of love, support, and prayers for the last 17 days when sweet Evelyn was first reported missing. I want to thank the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, and our detectives and officers for their persistence, dedication, and hard work in trying to locate Evelyn. This evening, we received information that led TBI agents and Sullivan County detectives to a property belonging to a family member of Evelyn's mother in the 500 block of Muddy Creek Road in Blumpville. During the search, investigators discovered human remains believed to be those of a 15-month-old girl. The remains will be sent for an autopsy and a positive identification. At this time, the investigation is in the very early stages. There's a lot of work left to be done, and right now, this is the extent of what we can provide today.
So absolutely tragic. It's just heartbreaking for them to have to announce that. 17 days, searching, looking. He had put up some of his own money, I believe, out there, and obviously the whole community. It's just devastating. So let's go back to March 8th. Megan would appear back in court 2 days after the special announcement was made. Now, I also want to quote something that was said during this meeting as well, this hearing. So let's revisit that. Special Agent Brian Fraley of TBI told reporters and the public the body of a child approximately 1 year to 1.5 years old was found during a search at a home in the 500 block of Muddy Creek Road, a property that belongs to Megan's father, brother, and grandmother. Investigators found clothing matching the description of the clothes Evelyn was last seen in. Additional children's clothing, toys, and diapers. Now, during this time, a judge would raise the bond from $25,000 to $150,000. Now, March 10th, members of Evelyn's father would come forward. Now, his family had pretty much remained silent through most of this, but they would come forward and they had something to say. I'll quote them. "Our focus has always been Evelyn and now on the investigation and bringing all those responsible to justice. We have complete faith and confidence in law enforcement to do just that." Now, the following day, the TBI would confirm that those remains found were indeed baby Evelyn. Now, let's go ahead to March 12th. Now, members of the Boswell family would have a statement to say, and they would say this. I'll quote them. "The immediate Boswell family, excluding Angela Jones Boswell of Evelyn, are in anguish and grief over their loss. It has been a very tough and trying time for everyone. At this time, we do not want to speak publicly about the tragedy. We are still trying to process what has happened. We ask for the media and public to respect our wishes as we need more time to grieve privately." Now we're going to fast forward, and I mean big fast forward, to August 19th. Now, 6 months after this went public, after everything came out, Megan will be hit with 19 charges in relation to this. Let's take a moment and look at a clip here about that.
Police levied a laundry list of charges against Megan Boswell tonight. The most serious? Felony murder. It's a massive break in a case that started in Sullivan County and captured the attention of people across the country.
My office has received dozens of calls and messages over the last several months from concerned residents wanting to make sure that we had not forgotten about baby Evelyn. I assure you we haven't and we won't.
2-year-old Evelyn Boswell was found dead on family property in Sullivan County back in March. She was reported missing in February, but investigators say she disappeared weeks before anyone came forward. An Amber Alert lasted weeks and spanned several states.
Our hearts and prayers go out to the family and friends who love baby Evelyn, along with the many citizens who, like us, develop deep-seated love for this sweet little girl.
The child's mother, Megan Boswell, charged with lying to authorities, has been in the Sullivan County Jail for months. Now, she faces 19 charges, including felony murder, tampering with evidence, and abuse of a corpse. Authorities say they can't discuss the circumstances that led to Evelyn's death since it's an ongoing investigation, but they say Boswell is the only suspect. For months, police said that Boswell gave a different story every time they interviewed her. She shared one version about what happened with local reporters months ago.
I just want her back. That's all I want. I've been so long without her, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, why didn't you miss it earlier? Because my mom threatened me, and I just want her back. That's all I can think about so much. I just want her back.
In another version of a story that Megan Boswell is also captured on camera saying that she knew who had her daughter but didn't report it because she feared retaliation. During tonight's news conference, the head of TBI Knoxville's former police chief, who we heard from earlier, begged people to report suspected child abuse. Megan Boswell's bond is set at $1 million. A hearing is set for later this month.
Wow. Okay, so you saw how quickly things escalated, right? And then ending up in the process all the way at that $1 million bond. She wasn't going anywhere. Okay. The 17-day search and recovery seemed like an eternity for the crews of determined investigators, Evelyn May's family, and a distraught nation. Now, this hindrance can be placed directly at the feet of one person, okay? That is Megan Boswell, who spent countless hours misleading law enforcement. It took a respectable 5.5 months to secure a grand jury indictment. However, it would take 1,647 days, nearly 4.5 years, for trial to begin. Now, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. Okay, this is very Sarah Boone. It's given that. It's given this. It's given that. Yes, it is. Now, obviously, Megan has not turned it up to the degree that Sarah Boone did. Now, in the next video, we'll talk about the delay. We'll talk about some of the evidence we can expect to see and all this. It's supposed to go to trial February 3rd, 2025, so we'll see if that all holds out. Now, what I want to do is just take a moment. We're going to put up some pictures here of Evelyn. Obviously, this is the center focus of the case. This is the victim. Now, obviously, if we are able to believe anything from Megan, hopefully it was what she had to say about her daughter. That she was friendly, that she smiled, that she laughed, that she hit her milestones early, that she was generally a happy baby. And it does sound like from other people who spoke that those things are true. So at least we can at least hold out that Megan wasn't lying about the beautiful aspects of her daughter, who allegedly at this point, we don't know, I mean technically she hasn't gone through trial, whose life she took. It does sound like, according to others who knew baby Evelyn, who knew the situation, that these things were true. So at least there is that, right? Now, if you're still watching, I do appreciate it if you could drop little sofas off in the comment section for little Roscoe and Spirit, myself, the rest of the Sofa Squad, so we'll have a place to sit and talk about this case, all the other cases we do talk about here at the Sofa Squad. And until we meander our way on down there to do that, I'll see y'all soon. I just wanted to say thank you again for watching the whole video, and also thank you for being part of the Sofa Squad. Special thanks to all the Patreon members, channel members from both of my channels, everybody who likes, shares, subscribes, comments in the comment sections. It helps the channel out so much. Now, don't forget, I do have that other channel, the podcast channel. That's where we go live, we hang out, we talk. We have kind of sort of a schedule, but just be sure and check it out. I'll put it up here on the screen. And then, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you want to follow me and Roscoe on the Instagram, go on, check it out. It's right here on the screen again. But once again, thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of the Sofa Squad, and I'll see you in the next video.